Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where I'm going to be giving you my reaction and review to what is seemingly a very early NECRY TALKIE song. So as always, if you want to see my reaction that I've just done to the video, then pause this one, which is going to be the review. Go click the link in the description below where you'll be able to open up a separate player, which will just show you the reaction, me watching the video with you guys. If you already know the song and you just want to skip straight to the review, then here it comes. Otherwise, pause this video. Have you seen the song? Are you ready for me to review? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and alright, so this one was really good. I mean, like I say, this took a nice detour, maybe from what we'd heard from NECRY TALKIE in a very interesting way. Now, again, no discredit. I don't want to. I mean, we always on this channel always try to give a positive and negative, objective opinion before going down into the subjective side of things as well. And I would say that NECRY TALKIE is one of those groups who there's no doubt that each one of their songs has its own individual personality, but they all kind of fit that larger landscape of being kind of happy-go-lucky, crazy sounds, a bit, you know, free, just kind of fun and easygoing songs, just in slightly different ways. Now, what was interesting about this one is that whereas a lot of their songs have a similar sort of format, you know, they do kind of follow basically the traditional rock and roll verse, chorus, bridge, chorus thing. This one goes in a slightly different direction to a degree, in that this is kind of relying more on having the same underlying chord, the same sort of bass line, the same sort of thing going throughout. It's not the sort of thing you'd usually release as a single. It kind of sounds more like a playful album track, and yet it's so catchy in a slightly infectiously earwormy way that I can see why you'd want to release this. It was, yeah, like I say, it was kind of like the antithesis in some ways of a good single, and yet the archetype of a good single in other ways. In the same way that you would say that something... This is a horrible comparison to draw, but in the same way you say there's something like Pen, Pineapple, Apple, Pen, PPAP by Picotaro. That's the sort of song where you wouldn't think of that as being as an international single hit, #1 record thing, but when you actually consider it in its own light, actually it kind of works just on a sort of twee craziness. That's kind of how I feel about this to obviously a slightly different extent. It kind of has a good core, a nice... kind of borderline irritating repetitive chorus, but it just kind of goes around that one line. It goes round and round and round. I'm not saying in Japanese because I don't want to make a fool of myself by pronouncing it incorrectly, as I probably would. And, you know, it just sounded very, very catchy, infectious and joyful in a way, but also musically very simple. You know, it had some layering, it had a little bit of verse work, but it was just basically, I got this catchy idea and I'm going to work it out to the craziest extent. There was that guitar solo that, like I say, was incredibly Graham Coxon, reminded me of Blur on the album 13, where the solos just turned into just walls of crazy noise and twiddling and just distortion. And some of them are really brilliant. And this kind of had a similar quality of sounding crazy in a way that actually kind of worked. So I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, a lot of the little elements that went into this were great. The fact that the bass was kind of like a synthetic bass. I don't know whether they did that by putting effects onto a bass guitar. The bass guitarist was certainly there in the room after all, or whether they did that by having her play a keyboard bass and then having that, you know, just used as the bass line. However they created that, it sounded really cool and it added a strangely metronomic quality to the underlying song, which was also backed up by that sort of very stompy beat. But everything was simple in a very deliberate way. It was clearly meant to be simple and charming in the same way that the vocal melody was, so as to lull you into a nice sense of security before hitting you over the head with the crazy distorted guitar solo. Like I say, the layers of irritatingly catchy but kind of charming vocal chorus. And yeah, it was just one of the qualities with one of the songs with a huge amount of quality, and it did define itself as different, although it had a similar joyful mood to the other NECRY TALKIE songs that we've heard and what I would assume is the body of their work. It did certainly have its own personality in a really great way. So I really like this, and not only did I really like it, but in its own simple, stripped back way, it added a fresh take, a fresh element to the NECRY TALKIE sound that they have created. So yeah, a lot of credit and a lot of love for that. I would have to point out, it reminded me so much of a lot of like 90s songs, you know, that simple sound, you know, I mean, everything from, like I say, Blur, all the way to stuff like Shampoo, you know, all of these kind of sounds that we associate with very sort of almost stereotypically 90s things, you know, 90s, probably Britpop-y sort of things. And that's also reflected in the idea of doing a song that is more playful than it is particularly technical. That, again, very sort of Britpoppy 90s thing. So yeah, I just, like I say, I got a lot of joy from this. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice little thing that is so irritatingly earwormy that you probably come back to it just for the sake of putting a smile on your face. It's going to remind you of its existence every time it comes back into your brain, just with the and you're going to go, oh, I got to listen to that song again. So yeah, a lot of joy from this one, and big credit to, as always, NECRY TALKIE for delivering something that is consistently quality in its own way, along with being really enjoyable. So massive credit to that. I did like it. Yeah, like I said, I know it's not going to change the world. No, it's not some like massive world-changingly amazing song. It's just really got a twee joy to it. It's really something that I certainly would be very happy to come back and listen to. And I'd be interested to know, like I said, I get the feeling from the video, amongst other things, this is probably a very early song by theirs. So guys, do let me know in the comments. As always, I don't previous search any of these artists. I just pick up on what I know after hearing several songs. But these guys were a good sort of 5 or 6 songs in now. As I often have to point out, a lot of those reviews were done before we had to close down the previous channel and restart this one. So, but yeah, we're a few songs in, and I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing. So if you know the band more than I do, which is quite a possibility, then let me know more things you think I should check out. Either way, though, I want to hear the comments of you guys, whether you like the song or not, whether you know the band or not. Tell me what you think of this song. Get in the review section. Tell me of anything it might remind you of, any curious influences or similar songs you might be aware of. Tell me what you think of it as a general. I just love to hear the opinions, and it's great to start in conversation, which is what this channel is all about. Because as I said at the beginning, music is more about the subjective opinion. You can have the opinions of someone who's worked with music their entire life, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't like the song. So tell me what you think, justify it, and let's enjoy a bit of conversation. You can like and subscribe as well. And if you want to get more involved in more Japanese conversation about music, then please do get onto our Patreon, which is linked in the description below, where we're talking about music all the time, as well as our Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. We've got the merch on there if you want to buy some channel merch. We're so YouTube now. And our Patreon, because our Patreon supporters, you guys keep the channel alive, and it is massively appreciated. I cannot say that loud enough. So until I see you hopefully in a video very soon in Japan for the next one, until then, for now, ciao ciao.